Do you know what's hilarious about this?
Uh-huh.
And I hate to talk about this right now.
Okay.
Do you know who the offensive coordinator is in Chicago now? This is the same offensive coordinator Seattle just had with Jason's rookie year. I just wanted to throw that out there into the world. I'm sorry if that ruins anyone's day.
The first round of the NFL draft is officially over, and we are ranking all the players that have been selected so far in the first round of this NFL draft, and there's still so much more to come. Yes, absolute chaos. So much has happened, so much conversations to be had as well. So let's not waste any more time. Zach, go for it.
Okay, before the draft, I said my consensus 101 in his own tier is Caleb Williams.
Yep.
That is the same after the draft. In fact, that mindset has only been further enhanced, I'd say, after they drafted Rome Odunze with the 9th overall pick. We talked about this for quite some time. Can't think of a number 1 pick ever being a better situation, and that was before we knew they got Rome Odunze. But how can you not take Caleb 101 in a Superflex league, even if you don't have a quarterback need? How is he not the most valuable player?
Sure.
I can't wrap my head around it. We've never seen a player with this much talent, this type of prospect, go to a situation like this where he's got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze as his top 3 options, let alone Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift out of the backfield.
Don't forget Cole.
Superflex formats, man. I can't imagine passing up on Caleb Williams, which is why I've been suggesting in plenty of videos, if you don't need Caleb, trade back from the 101 for a haul, stay inside the top 4, the top 5, top 6, whatever it might be. But I think Caleb's got to be the pick at the 101. And if you don't need him in Superflex drafts and you can't trade back, draft him, because you're not drafting in a rookie draft for need. That's the wrong way to do it.
Sure. And look, it makes sense. And I've always been okay and open to getting Caleb Williams and or another prospect at the wide receiver position, which I'm pretty sure Zach is going to mention here. So take us through that first tier then.
Yeah, so obviously the next player on my list is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. Like I said, there's not a scenario for me if I have the 101 where I take Marvin over Caleb. It's not that I think Marvin is an inferior prospect. It's just we know how valuable quarterbacks can be in Superflex. CJ Stroud just had an incredible rookie season, and he was a quarterback 7 on a per game basis, yet we all value him in Dynasty as a top 3 asset in the entire whole thing, right? Sure. Some people are drafting him at the 101 in Superflex leagues. So, I just think as much as I love Marvin, I got to go Caleb. I think Jaden Daniels is my 103. Love the landing spot in Washington. He's got great weapons that he's going to grow around over there with, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. We'll see if they add someone in day 2. Obviously, they added Austin Eckler. Cliff Kingsbury is going to do his thing.
Yeah.
And then I also have Malik Neighbors in this tier. I actually don't hate the landing spot. You and I have been publicly on record saying we kind of like the Giants landing spot. Why? Because who is that receiver competing with for target share? How is Malik Neighbors not a 25 to 30% target share player as a rookie? Yes, we don't know how good Daniel Jones can be coming off an ACL. He hasn't been that great anyway. They did improve their offensive line, and there is literally no one in your receiving core that can hold my guy's jockstrap. So I don't see how he doesn't get 140 plus targets as a rookie. That's really enticing to me. Last thing I'll say on Daniels, by the way, I think, and I'm not saying it will happen, I think there is a chance he ends up being the most valuable player in Dynasty Superflex leagues 1 year from now. I think he could end up being the number 1 overall valued player here, and that's simply because of what he can do on the ground. It was cool to see him in interviews. They said, what do you think about Michael Vick? What do you think about Lamar Jackson? He said, those guys are awesome. I'm here in the NFL to break all rushing records for rookies or for quarterbacks.
For quarterbacks, yeah.
So I thought that was super cool to hear. And this top 4 feels incredible to me.
Yeah, I mean, top 4 is incredible. I mean, I love every single pick here. I think that the fantasy community instantly in the comments are going to say you should have a quarterback in this first tier. But yes,
sure.
And we'll get to that quarterback here as we go to your second tier. But yes, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jaden Daniels, and Malik Neighbors are all, I'm in cahoots here with you at the same position here in tier one, which is absolutely phenomenal here. So I love Malik Neighbors to my Giants, Jaden Daniels to your Washington Commanders, who have phenomenal weapons around him here. So absolutely agree. Tier 2, take us through it.
So here's what's tough, dude. I think the players in tier 2 are deserving of being in tier 1.
That's
But
what
I
I
asked
think.
myself, I said, when I was making these rankings, I said, what is the point of a tier ranking list then, Zach? The point of it is to tell you guys in what tiers I would draft people. Not to say that they're less talented or they won't be as good, but for me in drafts, I am taking Marvin, Daniels, and Neighbors over these players in tier 2. And that's why I made that distinction. Not to say that these names can't be more valuable than them. It's very tough.
Sure.
And this might ruffle some feathers, but Aki, I have already switched my opinion since we live stream.
I've if you're
JJ
saying
McCarthy is my
Okay.
next guy, followed by Drake May. I have JJ ahead of Drake May.
And this is what I was preaching not all off season, but this is what I was preaching actually all off season and on our live stream here. And I was saying one of these quarterbacks is going to go to a terrible spot. That's Drake May at the moment. One of these other quarterbacks is going to go to a phenomenal spot, and that's JJ with the Minnesota Vikings. I actually believe JJ McCarthy arguably has a better landing spot and situation than Caleb Williams, and he's going number 1 overall. Now, Caleb Williams is the better talent, but if you put every paper to paper, team to team, head to head, on paper, JJ McCarthy is going into one of the best situations as a quarterback with Justin Jefferson, who is the best wide receiver in the NFL currently, with Jordan Addison, who was one of the best rookie wide receivers we saw last year, well, outside of Puka Nacua, if we really think about it. Then you have TJ Hawkinson, one of the best tight ends in the league as well, with Kevin O'Connell, an offensive mind head coach. This is a phenomenal landing spot, and I completely agree. I'm not saying that I would take JJ McCarthy over Drake May, because I do believe the New England Patriots are going to be making some more moves in the draft, and I think that could potentially sway me to going with Drake. Well, at the moment I have Drake May over JJ. But if they don't make those moves that I believe they need to make, JJ McCarthy could easily be the third overall quarterback in your rookie drafts. And we did the exercise. Go back to our live stream after our first rookie mock. I took JJ McCarthy with the 105 overall, and I said, this is what people are going to do. This is the expectations because of the landing spot. Now, would I do that? I'm not necessarily sure. I don't think so at the moment. I like Drake May as a talent, and I'm really hoping that he could be the best value and have that CJ Stroud effect. But that's a high price, and that's a high expectation for someone to come over and take in or to do what we saw with CJ Stroud. So, look, I agree. JJ McCarthy, is it surprising to have him over Drake May? Absolutely not. Is the fantasy community going to have him over Drake May? Absolutely, I think so. That's already consensus. By the time this video is released, I think that's going to be consensus. JJ McCarthy is going to be third quarterback in rookie drafts.
Yeah, a couple things. I reserve every right to change my rankings based off what happens in rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Mm-hmm. This is as of today after round 1. So who knows what the Patriots do? They could draft 2 guys in round 2 and 3 that I'm obsessed with at the wide receiver room. At the end of the day, I do think Drake May is a better talent. However, more than any other position in Dynasty football, the situation, what you're stepping into, the organization, what's around you matters more for a quarterback than any other position. So I can't sit here and pretend like, okay, yeah, well, I definitely prefer Drake May. I think he's the superior talent, but I'm just going to bet on it, like what happened with CJ last year. I get it. I totally get it, but I can't sit here and say the guy would that. By the way, you mentioned Jefferson, you mentioned the weapons. What you didn't mention is Kevin O'Connell. Having a guy like Kevin, did you? Okay, my bad.
I said Kevin O'Connell, one of the best offensive minded coaches. Anyways, continue.
Just to further that point, then Kevin O'Connell, I think, is a huge factor here. We have seen the success of Kevin O'Connell and his offense since he moved over from the Rams. The change in Kirk Cousins' ability to be a fantasy relevant quarterback.
Yeah,
all that happened in kind of cahoots, if you will, with the Kevin O'Connell change. I think he knows how to get what he wants out of a quarterback. And ultimately, I can't sit here and pretend that in 1 year's time, I wouldn't be more excited about what JJ McCarthy could have done.
Yeah.
So really tough decision. And what I would say is that this is the 105 and the 106. If you're telling me I can move from the 105 to the 106 and grab Drake May and also add something on top of that in a trade, I'm doing that in a heartbeat. I'm just saying right now, I think I'd find it tough not to draft the guy who just went to KOC and all those weapons.
Yeah.
All right, into round 3. Just before we get into round 3, we want to let you guys know that we will be continuing throughout this rest of these next couple weeks to be doing Dynasty team reviews. If you want your Dynasty team reviewed, it's very simple. All you need to do is become a Motherflocker member.
That's right.
With the promo code LAND. You guys will have seen us live streaming 3 nights a week before the NFL draft. We'll still be doing those. Hey, check out over here on the Flock Fantasy website. You've got this My Teams beta mode. That is going to continually update. You can see where you rank amongst your league. You can see where I would have you ranking with my rankings, Badaki with his rankings, expert consensus. You can ask for that team to be reviewed. So many updates coming to the Flock Fantasy site. Our rookie report is about to release our final version of our rookie report with brand new rankings. If you're a Motherflocker member with the promo code LAND, you are getting so much bang for your buck, and you're supporting Badaki and I. You're keeping the lights on for us over here. All right, into tier 3. 2 guys in this tier had to try and figure this out. Rome Odunze and Bo Nix. Yeah, we liked Bo Nix before the draft. A lot of people thought we were idiots, but Bo Nix goes top 12. We kept saying the Broncos, the Broncos, the Broncos. I think he's the perfect fit with Sean Payton. I think it fits like a glove. I've said this many times, but I think he is the best pre-snap quarterback in the entire draft. Identifying what a defense is trying to do and trying to counter that with audibles, with different changes to your linemen before the snap even happens. He's also a guy who is not uncomfortable sticking in the pocket and running an offense that way. That is what Sean Payton is looking for. That's why Drew Brees was so successful in New Orleans. I know there's not much weaponry there in Denver, but I still think this is a beautiful pairing of Nix and Payton. And if Payton is betting on this guy long term, think about it. Payton just made his bed with Bo Nix. If it doesn't work out, we will have major questions about Sean Payton. And as far as Rome Odunze, I can only let him slide so far. I don't like the landing spot. I don't see him, look, I get it. Here's what everyone's replying to me with. Well, Keenan Allen's on a 1-year deal, and long term, it's going to be Caleb and Rome Odunze. I agree. But what we have to recognize is that Rome Odunze is not going to have a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua type of rookie season. There's not going to be this huge type of production from like those 3 names had where he's pushing these records. It's just not going to happen because you are competing with target share from 2 guys who have dominated target share their entire lives, DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. So I get it. I'm in with Rome Odunze long term, connected with Caleb Williams.
Yep.
But I have to recognize his production will be limited as a rookie. It's just, and by the way, Badaki, we're all betting on DJ Moore, Odunze, and Keenan to be fed by a rookie quarterback, which historically, more times than not, that doesn't happen. So I get it from a long-term perspective. I love the pairing with Caleb, but I also have to recognize, just like we should have recognized last year with JSN, that it will be tough to fight with these really good wide receivers for targets and what ultimately is only so many pieces to a pie.
Yeah, I completely agree here. Rome Odunze is... Someone said it in our chat during our live stream. It says Rome got JSN, and it's kind of the same situation. We believed in JSN last year going into a situation, and we had high expectations because of Tyler Lockett. I think we need to reevaluate. Rome might be one of the best values going into 2025 if Keenan Allen is not re-signed to this team. Just like we hoped and expected with Jackson Smith and Jigbo with Tyler Lockett. But what happens with Tyler Lockett? He gets a contract extension. So you have to hope and believe that Rome Odunze, maybe not in his rookie year, but maybe going into his sophomore year, might be one of great value here. And Bo Nix.
Hey, sorry, just quickly, can I add a little sprinkle on that,
Sure,
Badaki, to back up your point?
Yeah.
Do you know what's hilarious about this?
Uh-huh.
And I hate to talk about this right now.
Okay.
Do you know who the offensive coordinator is in Chicago now?
I forgot his name.
This is Jackson Smith and Jigba's offensive coordinator as a rookie. This is the same offensive coordinator Seattle just had with Jason's rookie year. I just wanted to throw that out there into the world. I'm sorry if that ruins anyone's day, but that sucks. That sucks. Y'all saw how annoyed JSN was when he had to talk about his former offensive coordinator, who is now in Chicago. No hate, but sorry. Go ahead, Bo Nix.
Yeah, I get it. And for Bo Nix, I actually think there's an argument that I'm not saying I would take it, but I think there's an argument that Bo Nix could go ahead of Rome Odunze.
I agree. There's an argument for it.
Based on the draft capital, based on the situation, he's going here with Sean Payton, Joe Lombardi as an offensive coordinator. We had to remember, Joe Lombardi and Sean Payton were in cahoots back in New Orleans with Drew Brees back in the day. He was the quarterback coach. Now Joe Lombardi is the offensive coordinator, I guess, / quarterback coach here with Bo Nix. The reports coming out of over there is that Sean Payton loved Bo Nix and everything that he can do. Now the weapons around him are questionable, no doubt about it. But that's why we believe hopefully they get a weapon in the third round. You have Marvin Mims, you have Cortland Sutton, you have Javonte Williams. Look, the weapons aren't phenomenal, but there are pieces there for this team. There are opportunities for this team to improve and to all we need to do. One of the best things that we said, right? I had Bo Nix as my fourth quarterback coming out of this class ahead of J.J. McCarthy. That is no longer the case because of draft capital situations change. One of the things that we always said, elite accuracy, right, in the middle of the tight fields. You get those Cortland Sutton type passes in the middle of the field. You get Marvin Mims in the middle of the field. Do they draft a wide receiver that they can potentially get that is more of a slot or in round 3? Bo Nix situation could potentially change, and you're getting him with a top 12 draft capital at the 107 here. I think it's phenomenal value for somebody that I personally believe in, and going into a situation that we've seen history of success with Sean Payton, Joe Lombardi in the past with Drew Brees specifically. Obviously not last year with Russell Wilson, but you think of the bigger picture. It's exciting. It's exciting.
I agree. Into tier 4 here, and I just want to make this very clear before we get into tier 4.
Oh boy.
There's a reason for tiers. This is fluid. I reserve every right to change my rankings even tomorrow when I find out more information, when I find out what people think of certain players, their plans for certain players, or what they did in rounds 2 and 3, okay? But in round 4, I'm just going to say the 4 names. I don't know how to rank them yet. Okay, but these are the 4 names. Penix, Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier Worthy, and Brock Bowers. I do not know where to rank these players yet, but I would have them in the same pool, meaning all the guys from Bo Nix, Caleb Williams and Bo Nix, I would comfortably take them over every player in tier 4. Meaning when tier 4 is on the board, I don't know exactly what I would do. So if that makes it 4, 6, 8, that means the 109 to the 112, I'm looking to trade back. If I have the 109 and I can get the 111 and the 202, I'm doing that in my drafts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I want someone else to make those tough decisions for me. And by the way, these rankings are non-tight end premium. I think in a tight end premium format, depending on how big that premium is, you could argue for Brock Bowers higher than this.
Right.
But all guys in favorable. Well, look, Brian Thomas Jr. and Xavier Worthy in favorable spots. Penix. I feel like if we start to get diving into Penix, it could last 30 minutes. So I'm hesitant to do it. But what do you want to talk about here? We have to talk about Penix.
I think
I don't know how
we
long
have to talk about
on.
Penix. I think the best way to, because I want to know what the community thinks. If you are in favor, I have 2 things that you're in favor in. Are you in favor of Michael Penix going in the first round of your rookie drafts? And do you believe Michael Penix is, well, maybe that's the best question. Let's start that from the top. Is Michael Penix worthy of a first round pick?
In Superflex rookie draft.
In Superflex rookie draft. Because of the situation. Me right now, I would say he is at best, for me, the 111, 112. I cannot take, and I'm not saying you have him ranking over, because I know you kind of preference your tier saying that this is fluid. But at the moment, with Brian Thomas Jr. going to the Jags, with Xavier Worthy going to the Chiefs, we can, and I said this on our live stream, if Adonai Mitchell goes to the Bills, if Lat McConkey goes to the Patriots or the Chargers, I think I'm taking those players over Michael Penix Jr. Now,
I couldn't, but I get it.
I know, and I cannot envision, to keep this in the Twitter version, I cannot envision Michael Penix Jr. How can I say this? It's really hard for me to take him in the situation that he went to with Kirk Cousins. It's really hard. Now, there's so many arguments. I know a lot of people are going to talk about the Jordan Love. A lot of people talk about, well, Russell Wilson, or not Russell Wilson, but Kirk Cousins' contract. we can go on for so long. The best thing that we can say is, if you're watching this video, please go to our live stream. It's literally says Michael Penix debate. Go there and watch, because we kind of talk about that in length. We don't want to make this video 30 minutes.
That was a live stream right after round 1. It says rookie mock draft after round 1. Can I just quickly say my Twitter version of Penix?
Sure.
The reason I'm not completely out on Michael Penix, and look, the reason I'm so passionate is because a lot of people are like, he's off my draft board. I'm not drafting him anywhere. I think that's ridiculous. I think he's deserving of being a round 1 pick. Okay, exactly where I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. Okay, first thing that a lot of people don't know: Michael Penix was the Atlanta Falcons quarterback 2 in this class. Their second quarterback in this class. This class that has elite prospects like Caleb, Daniels, May, McCarthy. McCarthy might not be elite. So they viewed the pick at number 8 as a huge value for this team long term. They thought, you're kidding me. We can get our quarterback 2 in this class to be the long-term guy for us. Take Kirk Cousins out of the situation. If you're a rebuilding team and you don't plan on competing this year, there's not a better pick for you in rookie drafts, I wholeheartedly believe this, than Michael Penix Jr. late in the first round. You don't need him to perform, in year 1.
Yeah.
But if I told you, take Kirk Cousins out of the situation, what if I told you a quarterback who was drafted top 10 draft capital, great production in college, was able to play with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson with a great offensive line and a new head coach? The same head coach that was coaching Matthew Stafford and the Rams over there. I think you'd be absolutely ecstatic about that. I get the patience. I get the not knowing the situation. But ultimately, I think people who take a shot on him, take a flyer on him, will thank themselves in a year or two. And by the way, Kirk Cousins is going to be 36 coming off an ACL tear. We don't know if he's going to be the same player. Yes, the money is there, but ultimately, these coaches care more about having quarterbacks in their room who can play and can win them games than what money a certain quarterback costs.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if Penix goes into camp and everyone can see Penix is the better quarterback for this team, I guarantee you it will not faze them. Yeah. Oh, you just spent $100 million on nothing. They don't care. These coaches are fighting for their lives every single game to try and win. We think from such a different mindset to what a franchise does. We can all agree the pick is weird. It doesn't make sense. But in a super flex league, to get a quarterback drafted top 10 with those weapons, at some point, you might have to wait. It's a long game. I think you will thank yourself rather than betting on what, I don't know. I don't know what you could bet in the second round like a lot of people are doing.
It's at the moment, these wide receivers feel really favorable. And maybe, we want to play fantasy right now. Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier Worthy, so far, I'm just going to name those 2 guys, feel like a more significantly better situation and production and return currently and for the future. Now, we're betting on Brian Thomas Jr. and Xavier Worthy to hit because those are the guys that have been taken. But at the same time, we're also betting on Kirk Cousins to fail. We're also betting on Michael Penix to be successful. So, there's both sides of the coin, because that means everyone has to do something. Can
I just throw a point of contention in there real quick? Mm-hmm. I have no doubts that if Michael Penix Jr. starts for this team in the next 2 years, that he's going to be very good for fantasy football. I believe Brian Thomas and Xavier Worthy will be good, but there is still a chance that they don't work out as well. So there's a different confidence level there, and there's a different level of commitment from the team via draft capital. I get it. It's a weird situation, but let's be honest. It's tough to produce as a rookie in a Andy Reid offense. We've seen that over the years.
Sure.
Rashee Rice is one of the rare guys to do that. Brian Thomas Jr., we all love his athleticism. We love his body, but he still needs work as a route runner. What if he doesn't come out of the gates hot? What if this is a Treylon Burks situation where you're like, oh, damn, this isn't working out straight away? And then you're like, well, I bet on the guy.
And the same thing could be said
with... It's tough. I get it.
The same thing could be said with Kirk Cousins. What if Kirk Cousins takes his team to the playoffs both years? How much longer do we have to wait for Michael Penix to give us a return where maybe Xavier Worthy or Brian Thomas Jr., maybe they were top 20 wide receivers?
Sure.
Right?
There's a great argument both sides. The last thing I'll say, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, I want to hear you as well, is the only example we've really seen this happening, and I know there's not a perfect example. Guess what? There's not a perfect example because it never happens. Okay? Give me a break. But the one example we do have is the Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love situation. Yes, different. Jordan Love was very young.
Different. Mm-hmm.
Okay, very different. But that worked out. That worked out for the people who held Jordan Love. And there's this notion I saw in our comment section that why would you draft Michael Penix? You can pick him up off the waiver wire. I'm sorry. I don't know a single Superflex league that would drop a top 10 drafted quarterback to the waiver wire. That's silly season. We got to be joking if we think that's real. But anyway, I don't know.
I just think, how about, and I'll close with this. I think the range for Michael Penix in my ranking so far at this very moment is probably the 109 to the 202, depending on the rest of what happens in round 2. If Trey Benson goes to the Cowboys, if Ladd McConkey goes somewhere special, if Adonai Mitchell goes to the Bills, insert these names somewhere. I think there's conversations now with Michael Penix. I think that's where his range is going to be.
Heard.
Let's close it in tier 4. Really quick, I know we haven't mentioned him. Brock Bowers didn't go to the best landing spot here with the Las Vegas Raiders, unfortunately. Maybe we're overthinking it. One of the things I found a light at the end of the tunnel with Luke Getsky is a new offensive coordinator there. We've seen the success with Cole Kmet, Brock Bowers. Cole Kmet, last year was top 8 tight end in the past 2 years, and Brock Bowers is significantly better significantly better prospect. Now, the quarterback is in question with Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell, but this is not the best landing spot for Brock Bowers, but still, there's still light at the end of the tunnel.
It could work out. It's just confusing.
Especially
with Michael Mayer. I would say is, what's funny is, like, thinking about Cole Kmet, you would think, like, yeah, Michael Mayer feels like he makes more sense. Like, Brock Bowers is not really like an inline guy. He doesn't have the same size as those dudes. But anyway, I think Bowers is going to be fine. We might be overthinking it.
Mm-hmm. Tier 5.
Tier 5. I'm going to add a bunch of players that I think go round 2 with some of these round 1 names. Is that okay?
Sure.
And again, I reserve the right to change these rankings, but I would still have Trey Benson and Jonathan Brooks ahead of the guys who went round 1. We talked about how good round 2 hit rates are for Dynasty football for rookie running backs.
Yep.
So assuming they go round 2, I'd still have them over the likes of Ricky Pearsall. I would then have Ladd McConkey, Adonai, and I will put Xavier at the end of this tier. I think he could go down even further for me. This is something that we do disagree on. Later today, there will be a video coming out where I talk about why I think Xavier Legette was the wrong pick for the Panthers. By the way, Ricky Pearsall, just quickly. If the Niners trade Brandon Ayuk, which they could, Ricky Pearsall is going to shoot up for me. Okay?
100%. I agree.
And we don't have to do rookie drafts yet. If you're doing a rookie draft right now, what are you doing? Wait until the NFL draft is over. But that could change everything for Slick Ricky. Glad to see him in round 1. Ladd, we'll see where he goes. But, on Legette, I'll just quickly say the things that I think are red flags for him are the same things that concerned me about the Panthers wide receiver room last year. So it's just concerning. I don't think he's a great route runner, and he's an older player. I just don't think he gets separation very well, and I don't know that improves in the NFL. I could be wrong.
Yeah. I get what Xavier Legette. I think it's a phenomenal landing spot. Waiting to see what happens there with Xavier Legette. On Ricky Pearsall, I think he could be one of the best, mid to late second round picks hey, let's wait and see what happens. Because if Brandon Ayuk is not traded this year in this draft, like we're hoping, or maybe even the offseason, Ricky could be going at the late second, maybe even early third, because people don't like it. And then if Brandon Ayuk gets traded next year, you are buzzing about that. That's a big hypothetical, but maybe you have to play the long game.
I don't think Ricky, regardless of Ayuk, is getting outside the top 203, the 201 to the 203.
Really? Okay, I think a lot of people would take him.
At all.
I think a lot of people would take
round 1 wide receiver. No way people are letting him fall.
Based off situation, if Adonai goes to the Bills or Ladd McConkey goes to the Chargers or the Patriots, they will take him over Ricky, and maybe even these running backs, depending on where they land.
A lot of people put stock into round 1, as they should. But,
I get it.
I don't see him falling that far. I could be wrong.
I understand. All right, take us to your last tier here.
Yeah, I called this let's see what the landing spots are, basically. Because all these rankings will change at this point after we see day 2. But names that we're watching for day 2, Troy Franklin, Jalen McMillan, a running back run of Lloyd Wright, Corum, Jermaine Burton we love, Roman Wilson, we love Polk, we love Malachi Corley. I mean, there's so many other names that I could put in there. Herendo, Allen, Estime, Coleman, Bucky, Tez Walker, Jatavion Sanders, Javon Baker, right? I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. But we're looking for all these guys to see how it will finalize our rankings after the next couple days.
Yeah, completely agree. I'm excited for the second and third round going into day 2. A lot of these guys are literally going to change. I mean, we have the first round, I would say, potentially locked in outside the picks 11 and 12. I think those are also very fluid. And then round 2 just feels like an absolutely phenomenal value for all of these players. Running back, wide receivers are going to go like maybe even tight ends. We maybe get a sneaky tight end in the second round or third round here. But I'm excited for day 2.
That's it for today, guys. We appreciate y'all big time. Hey, if you hate what I said or what Badaki said, you know what? It's okay.
It's okay.
It's all right if you hate it.
Yeah.
But just disagree respectfully in the comments. There's a way to comment opinion with respect, and if you show respect, we will show respect in a reply. If you don't, we might be a little cheeky. You know how it goes. But we appreciate y'all big time. Hit that like button. We have been live streaming 6-7 hours today. We've recorded 2 videos, and now we have to go edit them. So, you know, show us some love. We appreciate y'all. We're grinding as much as we can. We'll see you soon. All love. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy. Even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.